Am I the a-hole for serving a Nutella cake? I have a daughter, Emma, 7, and she has a best friend, Kat, 7. They knew each other since prep school and are inseparable since. However, they are not allowed to stay overnight at each other's places as Emma is allergic to strawberries, which Kat loves. And Kat is allergic to nuts, while Emma loves hazelnut and Nutella specifically. 4 months ago, Emma received an invitation from Kat to her birthday party, which has been accepted. I have asked Kat's mother before if I need to bring something for Emma, but she assured me everything is fine. When we arrived, the entire part was strawberry themed and all the food, they only served sweet stuff, had strawberries in them. Due to this, Emma gave the present she made to Kat, and we left shortly after, as I don't want to expose my child to allergies. Kat was told that Emma wasn't feeling well and we didn't want to risk if it's COVID. Yesterday was Emma's birthday. She wanted a Nutella cake, so one was ordered. I have warned Kat's mom that the cake will contain Nutella, but cupcakes and other desserts are not free. She knew about that and everything went fine until Kat had to be rushed to the hospital due to allergic reaction. Kat's mom forgot that Nutella contains nuts and let Kat to have a slice while me and my husband were not watching. She called me an a-hole as she felt I was getting back at her for throwing a strawberry party and now her child is hurt. She also said it in front of Emma, so she is now feeling guilty and refuses to eat anything. Am I the a-hole for ordering a Nutella cake for my daughter's birthday?
Yeah, Kat's mom is nuts, pun intended. When your child has a nut allergy, almost all baked goods are off limits unless you saw the labels of all ingredients. Even if the cake was not made with Nutella, there's a good chance one of the ingredients came in contact with nuts. Many things without any nuts in them have the may contain warning. Especially anything chocolate. That poor kid is going to have many reactions until she's old enough to manage her own allergy with a mom like this. It's very creepy how the whole party was strawberry themed, knowing one kid is allergic. Add feeding her own kid another possible allergen, without double checking after being warned about it. Gives me Munchausen by proxy vibes. This woman sounds dangerous, I'd be extra cautious around her. Look, I'm sure that the well-known food product that is popular among children has never come up in conversation among this family who has a child with a nut allergy. And even if it had, the name of the product isn't much help, is it? And the pictures of the hazelnuts on the label are more confusing than anything. And honestly, what kind of responsible parent of a child with an allergy is going to check an ingredients list or have their suspicions aroused by someone saying something as vague as that's a Nutella cake, so I have some alternative cakes which your daughter can eat. She is also a TA for having a strawberry party and not thinking of your kid's allergy at all, with the girls being such good friends. And after telling OP that she didn't need to bring anything for her daughter to eat. I was an allergy kid. I distinctly remember a slumber party where there was nothing I could eat. Looking back, it was probably more my mom's fuck up than the hostess. I could hardly eat anything, so that conversation should have been had, or I should have been sent with food. I was little, like 7 or 8, and way too embarrassed to remind host mom, a close friend of the family, that I couldn't eat this. So, I pretended I wasn't hungry and then cried about it to the other girls later and spent the night starving. On the one hand, it was a good lesson. I always brought my own snacks to parties thereafter. On the other hand, it hurt my feelings. I felt overlooked and left out. That's what Kay's mom did to Emma with her strawberry party. If it had to be strawberry themed, she should have communicated with OP and made a plan to have something there for Emma. On the flip side, OP made darn sure that Kat could eat at Emma's party. Yeah, the cake was off limits, but she provided lots of other goodies, including nut-free cupcakes, and let Kay's mom know in advance about the no-no cake. She made sure Kay got to have treats, too. NTA, OP. She is also a TA for having a strawberry party and not thinking of your kid's allergy at all, with the girls being such good friends. Exactly this. My daughter met her BFF in kindergarten, first party rolls around, and her mom let me know friend has celiac and offered to bring separate food for her, including a GF cupcake, but I really didn't want her friend to feel left out. Especially since the cake and treats were an interactive party activity. So, gluten-free everything. I also made sure to confirm mom was comfortable trusting me with this. I learned a new baking skill, and all kids had a blast. Nobody was left out. Everyone was safe. Kat's mom is the problem here. As a bare minimum you have safe alternative options available to those with known allergies at an event you've invited them to. And as for her letting her child eat cake she was warned was unsafe for them then blaming OP, I suspect there's something much deeper happening there as others have mentioned.
Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law the truth about my brother? My brother Joe and sister-in-law Jill have been together for 10 years, and they have 4 children together. Joe works full-time at a factory and Jill has a very inconsistent work history due to her attitude. To be frank, Jill has a nasty, entitled attitude because she believes that Joe makes a lot of money and she doesn't really have to work. The reality, Joe constantly asks our parents and his younger siblings for loans that he never pays back. He also have everyone pitch in to buy their children's school clothes and shoes every year. Oh, and not to mention, he's always asking to use our cars instead of using his non-working wife's car. Our family has always fallen for Joe's sob stories because 1, we love the kids, and 2, his wife will not work to help support their family. Well, recently, my siblings and I found out that Joe is a huge liar. He's severely in loan, credit card debt, and is a gambling addict. Turns out, he actually does make enough to take care of his family, but is so far in debt that he can't. We also found out from her family that he told Jill that she doesn't have to work. At a family holiday gathering, Jill approached my sisters and I stating that their eldest daughter, Jill's 15-year-old daughter before marriage, needs to get a job. Jill then went on to say that she and Joe had jobs at 15 and they purchased their own first vehicles. My parents are wealthy, so Joe didn't get a summer job until 19, and my parents brought him not 1 but 2 cars by the age of 20. I was so taken back by the revelation that Joe has been lying to Jill about being able to afford their lifestyle. Without thinking, I told Jill that what Joe said was untrue, and that our parents and in the last 5 years, his siblings have always taken care of him, even now at the tender age of 40. Jill called us liars like we don't know our brother, so I showed proof of how he's borrowed thousands of dollars from just me, not including our parents and other siblings over the years. Soon, other siblings joined in, telling Jill the truth about Joe. Jill was furious when she finally realized that Joe was not as financially stable as he claimed. Am I the a-hole for telling her the truth?
Ouch, this is a bad situation. Joe has not only been lying to his siblings and parents, but also to his wife, Jill. I would ask, if after seeing the proof, is she still mad at all of you, or just at Joe, even though that would not temper my decision here. I kinda feel there is only one here, and it is Joe. I would say that her attitude has been fostered by his lies, if not outright birthed by those lies. I would be more inclined to believe that it is the latter, as Jill came to you and your sisters about the need for their oldest daughter to start working. You said they have been together for 10 years, how old is their oldest daughter? NTA, Jill needed to know about the situation before something really bad happened like their home was repossessed. Though in a different world it could have been handled so differently, like getting your brother help for his gambling addiction, support managing his debts, and allowing him to tell Jill about the debts, rather than dumping him in it. This doesn't seem like the way to help a family member in the throes of an illness. I can't help but feel sorry for Jill here. Her main crime seems to be that she was unlikable. I presume that, if she wasn't in paid employment, she was at home looking after 4 kids. Well, that is a full-time job. And it seems like much of what you believed about her entitlement stems from Joe's lies about her. If he told her she didn't have to work and could stay with her children, I repeat, not an easy option, then it wasn't entitled of her, she believed she was doing the right thing. NTA. He's a liar, an addict, and has taken advantage of the generosity of his entire family while lying to his wife. It doesn't matter if you did it out of spite or from a place of caring, she needed to know the truth. It's sad you have all enabled your brother for so long, but you didn't know the truth so can't be blamed for that. Something had to give eventually though, and now it has. That was never a lifestyle he was going to be able to keep living, you couldn't keep funding him forever. However, your family do have to start putting their foot down on loaning him money and say enough is enough, he needs to get himself sorted and you guys can't keep funneling him funds. By all means help the children, I'd never suggest turning your back on them, but they are the ones that need the support, not your brother. Your brother is fucked up. Regardless of how entitled she is about now wanting to work, your brother's mistakes massively outweigh hers. Also, she said she had a job at 15 and bought her own car. How do you know she doesn't want to work? How do you know it's your brother who wants to keep portraying this false lifestyle and doesn't want people to think he doesn't make enough to let his wife be a stay-at-home mom? Your brother is fucking up not only his financial future, but the financial future and security of his children and his wife. If I was your SIL, I would get my receipts ready. I would get screenshots, bank statements, everything I could to prove his income and his gambling addiction and make sure I have enough weapon to protect myself and my children in the divorce. This is fucked up. He's incredibly selfish. And you guys are enabling him. He knows she doesn't have to change his ways or get help because the fam will always cover his ass and let borrow money knowing well you will never see a dime back. Cut him off. Make him pay for his decisions literally. I hope the wife and kids turn out okay. Oh, and OP, no, you're not the asshole. In fact, you probably saved the kids from a horrible future. NTA addiction is a horrible strain on a family and struggle for the addict. My brother had multiple addictions and they eventually broke his marriage up. It didn't help that my former SIL refused to get a job as well before his addictions became too much to overcome. I think he just gave up. Your family should try an intervention to get Joe the help he needs. Regardless of whether he gets help or not, stop giving him money directly. If the children need anything, then take them to buy what is needed, because if you give them money or gifts, it will end up being gambled away or pawned. You are now on notice that Joe will lie to get what he needs, so ask for proof if you decide to help and directly pay if he asks for help with bills, but only at your discretion. Best of luck and wishes on a successful outcome. The SH. Your SIL sucks for being entitled, nasty and lazy, but sucks even more for knowing about his gambling issues but doing nothing about it to help him. Even if she's not aware of his debts, she should still be wary of his gambling habits and the effect they'd have on their financials. Your brother sucks for roping you and your family into his addictions and for lying to his wife and for not encouraging her to work. And you suck for not trying to help your brother. You should have told the wife, yes. But you also should have had a serious chat with your brother, with parents and his wife present, about his habits. I have a brother who deals with addictions, and while interventions and gentle talks don't fix everything, they get the ball rolling on fixing things. The ESH ruling is light as you are morally correct, you just went about it the wrong way.
Story 3. Am I the a-hole for abandoning my son and refusing to collect him after my ex told me to? I have a 4-year-old son with my ex-husband. We've been in the middle of divorce since our son was 1. My ex has made settling the divorce and deciding custody of our son hell for me, both financially and emotionally. I finally reached my boiling point 2 months ago when I realized just how bad my finances are at the moment, and the fact that I would need to stop the divorce and move to an even cheaper but dangerous area just to survive at this point. I don't want my son to have to live there too, so I decided the next time my ex was in the country, I would take my son and leave him with his dad since he wants custody so badly. My ex assumed it was just for the day, but when I didn't come to pick him up in the evening, I wasn't home when he tried to drop him off. He started texting and calling me nonstop, telling me I needed to come and collect our son since he didn't have his nanny there and he was very busy. I ignored him for over a week until he started threatening to have someone come and find me. We had a conversation where my ex was asking me what type of mother just ups and abandons her child like I had done. He wanted to know where I was and wanted to know when I was going to come back. When I told him I wasn't, he told me he had learned his lesson and I needed to stop punishing our son to make a point. I told him I wouldn't come back because my ex was right. He had the money to give our son a better life, so he had won. He asked me what he was supposed to tell our son, and I told him he should tell him the truth, that his dad liked to bully people with his money and it made me have to go away. He got really angry and told me not to play games and that we would go back to our old financial agreement that we had before I filed for divorce if I would just come back. Am I the a-hole?
I highly disagree. I was in the same position as OP's child when my parents divorced. My mother gave up custody of me and my brother to my father since she didn't have the means to care for us. She had to couch surf for years until she had a stable life again, and she would rather have her kids live a better life with my father's family than suffer with her. It sucked to grow up without a mother, but after I grew up and she explained her side, I understood why she did it and agreed with her. If I was in her place, I would have done the same. I rather know my kids have a better life without me than have to suffer poverty. His whole reaction says it all, especially the "I've learned my lesson." He knew what he was doing. But that's the whole point. He wanted to hurt OP to the point she'd fold and do what he wants. He didn't expect her to fold in this manner, which isn't convenient for him. My ex also was abusive. He is also mentally unstable. The court still gave him visitation to my daughters, even though he was being investigated for hitting one of the girls at 6 months old across the face. He tried to cause fights and arguments over the way I brought them to the visitation center, claiming I didn't bring nappies or wipes. They were always in a bag or under the pushchair, which I showed the woman before and after the visit. Edit. I get where OP is coming from, and also she's mentioned he want reconciliation and she's had to drop the divorce. He's backed her into that corner. Her only way to escape him now is to hand the kid over to his dad. Which, by the sounds of it, he wouldn't have done willingly. I was in OP's exact shoes. My ex was going scorched earth on me, and he used my children against me in every way he could, all while pretending to want full custody. I faced poverty, jail time for falsely alleged abuse, and much more after he tried to kill me and then abandoned me and our 2 small children to run off with a teenager that he had been grooming. Situations like this feel inescapable because they are. Mine went on for 7 years. They mark you for life, and if the abuser has their way, you will be financially, and in as many other ways as possible, destroyed. As awful as OP's actions sound, as a mother she was faced with keeping the child she loves in dangerous poverty-stricken conditions, all while her ex pulls the strings with money, or lose the child she loves by giving him to the ex, and maybe everyone can live a peaceful life. I would give my life for my kids, but I was tempted to do what OP did. I was able to keep fighting, but not everyone can. I still don't know how I got through it. I agree with almost everything you said here. The financial and especially the emotional toll custody battles take when you are the one with less resources is there are no words. When you know you are failing your child because your best just isn't good enough and you're purposely being pushed and toyed with by someone who is supposed to care and want to take care of their child and by extension, the other parent of their child. I understand why OP did what she did. I think she executed it incorrectly though. I think she should have told her son's father that she would be leaving their son with him indefinitely, that he had won, and that he had successfully bullied her out of their child's life, and that he could have what he wanted, which was full custody. I think that would have negatively affected the child to a significantly lesser degree. I get it though. You went about it wrong, OP, but I feel where you're coming from. NTA, and to be honest, I'm shocked at the number of YTA and ESH judgments you're getting. What I'm reading from this is your husband, who has way more money than you, has been prolonging the divorce for years. And now it's to the point where you have to move to an area where your son would also have to live that isn't safe. Because dad is being a bullying jerk and forcing you to deplete your money on legal fees. You didn't abandon your son with a stranger or leave him at a bus stop to wander the alleys in the dark. You left him with his parent. The same parent who has fought you for custody, so you gave him exactly what he wanted. Good. It's a fucking resolution. You get him to sign off on the agreement you want, and only then do you go get your son. People are saying you used your son as a pawn. Your son was always going to be affected by this regardless. He would have had to move to a shittier neighborhood and watched his mom's mental health deteriorate. I hope it all works out for you. Edit. Okay, so when I wrote this about 9 hours ago, I only read the original post, and I'm not sure how much more info OP had in the replies section. I was not aware that OP simply ghosted the kid and is avoiding all contact. Also, yeah, that probably won't play out too well in court. Changing judgment ESA.